Thank you so much for being with us today. We are just a lovely little group of divine feminines who thought we would come together today and share our knowledge and some of our wisdom with all of you today in regards to our current situation, I guess you could say. It's causing a lot of confusion. There is a lot of fear going around. There are people coming from all different perspectives on this. So we thought that we'd have a little collaboration and put some great minds together and just have this discussion openly so all of us can learn something from one another and just share with each other. So my name is Amy Satori, and I'm an intuitive spiritual teacher. I have a channel on YouTube, and I also do healings and things like that. So you guys could explore that sometime. I have an active Instagram as well, if you guys want to check that out. But I don't want to spend too much time. So go ahead and somebody else. How about
Okay, I'm Amelia Love. I'm a transformation coach, also known as a contemporary spiritual master. I'm 41. I'm from London, but I now live in America. And I am quite an expert with regards to actually helping to heal the human mind so that one can reach a level of peace and clarity and permanent happiness. And I'm really happy to be here.
Hey.
Who's next?
I'll go. Hi, I'm Nikita Coulomb, and I am an artist and an author with a background in psychology research, and I'm just a curious person, and I'm really excited to hear other perspectives today.
Perfect.
Krista?
Okay. My connection has been playing up on me. Hi, my name is Fischetti. I am an artist, abstract painter. I also conduct art therapy classes, and I am a light worker.
We're definitely having trouble on the internet there. Hopefully, as you jump in next time, it won't be so bad.
Yeah, we'll put everybody's information down in the description below and anything that we reference throughout this talk. So if you guys have any questions about anything that was talked about today, it's going to be down below. Just check in the description. I wanted Amelia to talk with us about all the different perspectives that are kind of bouncing around out there, because she's come up with a really good summary, I feel. And maybe you can just kind of feel out where you are in this little spectrum, and then we'll address all these different perspectives together.
Absolutely, absolutely. So since this whole situation has taken place, and actually a little bit before, I was already using this terminology with regards to spiritual growth on the planet. Now, this is definitely not anything to do with being derogatory, because we are all actually incredible beings, every single one of us, but we're at different levels of awakening. And so the first group, I jokingly refer to them as the muggles, like in the Harry Potter movies, where basically they are not aware of anything other than what is right in front of them. They're not aware that there are other powers and other information and other energies and other knowledge, and there's a whole world of wisdom that they are not actually in contact with in any manner. So that's I call them the 3D muggles. And the 3D muggles during this situation, they very much follow the news. They have no reason to actually think any different than what is being portrayed on the news. They very much follow the narrative that's being presented to them, and they do often behave exactly as the sort of the powers that would like us to behave. So that's the muggles. Then we have the 4D conspiracists. Now this is an interesting group, because they've normally either awoken within the last few years, or it may actually have only happened in the last few weeks and months. But these are people that have developed a very strong hunger for knowledge, and they are piling literally through millions of videos. They're all through YouTube. They're doing lots of research, and they feel very knowledgeable. And in some areas they are. The problem is that there is still fuel of fear that's actually driving their hunger for knowledge. And the conspiracy theorists are very happy when they see other people sharing the information, but they also do not necessarily carry an energy of love or trust or unity. They are still in a place very much where they feel like they're on their own, and they are finding this stuff out, and they almost also feel a little bit in danger for finding this stuff out. They're still very susceptible to the fear energies and so forth. So that's our 4D conspiracy theorists. Then we have the 5D angelics. And for me, this is the ladies and gentlemen that are very much in touch with love, the love within. They're very heart-centered. They're very much service to others. These are very, very, very nice people. The only thing is actually a large percentage of the 5D angelics are completely unaware of this 4D conspiracy information. That's actually essential, because what we need really is all of the knowledge. We need to understand about being heart-centered, understand about unity and the law of one and service to others, but we also need to be able to face the darkness that is currently taking place on Earth, and we should not be in denial of it, and we should not be going into cognitive dissonance, which is where people literally are in complete denial of the truth that's happening because they cannot process it and they don't want it to be true. And so what I'm seeing is quite a lot of the cognitive dissonance within the 5D group, the 4D group perpetuating a lot of fear and being high on the fear and sharing a lot of fear, and then the muggles really being in a state of absolute ignorance, and that is the honest truth. And so wherever you find yourself on that spectrum, we would like to address those areas so that we can help everybody find common ground and that we can all move together as one humanity. And finally, I just want to say that I was literally today sent the most amazing video by Amy Satori. And I believe this video is actually tantamount to us actually healing the planet. And the reason why is that this video is suitable for all 3 groups. How amazing is that? Every video I've had so far that I've been recommending, it has had a clear audience in mind that would react well to it, but I would be aware of those that may not react well. This one has no conspiracy. It's no airy fairy 5D new age woo-woo stuff, but it's pure science from a woman that's very qualified, so qualified that she can actually be an expert witness in courts of law. And so that is very important, and we are going to list it below, and we will be referencing that video a lot today, because for the first time we have something that can literally appeal to the masses, and I hope it gets translated into other languages also.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, so that's the what do you think about that, darling?
Yes, I had a thought while you were talking, actually. Perhaps something for people to reflect on is how much chaos they can tolerate, because I think that will sort of determine what messages people are receptive to. Because the people who are in what you described as like the ignorant group, who are just like following the media, what the media says, you know, not really questioning anything, like they probably can't handle very much chaos. And so that's where you would stay, you know, and then as you are able to sort of handle more chaos, you can move up into like different levels of understanding and being able to hold space for different points people make and different perspectives.
Yeah, I think it's like the ability to handle fear as well. Oh, some interruption there, the sound.
There's a little bit of fear. There's a little bit of fear to all of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, perspective you're coming from, you've got the fear there. That's the whole point, is that this is causing confusion and fear right now. So we need to get on top of that however we can. And it's the thing is to come from a place of like, where are we all coming from right now? Where are we all wanting to be? Well, we're all wanting peace. We're all wanting harmony. We all want freedom. We all want to be able to walk out our doors, breathe fresh air, go hang out with our friends, and laugh, giggle, and eat greasy food and let it drip down our arms. You know?
Well, there's that question you always said to ask yourself, Amy, which was like, which path provides relief, right? And I think that's probably what everyone is seeking right now is relief.
Yes.
Absolutely. Because the thing is that the muggles, they feel that relief will come through actually following what the government and the news is telling them to do. That's where they think the relief will come from. And then the conspiracy theorists actually don't see any relief coming, and they feel like we're in a war, and they're really heightened and in adrenaline, and So it's particularly a lot of masculine energy, but it's like that's where a lot of the straight conspiracy theorists are. And then the spiritual ladies that are sort of 5D, a lot of them are struggling if they haven't done the inner work, which is something that I'm being guided possibly to talk about next, if you agree.
Yes, please.
Okay, so
And wait, I just want to say one thing. I think it's just crucial for everyone to listen to their intuition, to really feel it out. If it doesn't feel right, if it really scares you, look at something that resonates with you. And we'll even put some sources down below as to news sources that are actually telling the truth. The fact that YouTube and some other places are censoring things and not allowing you to see certain opinions should raise a huge red flag for you guys too. Because that means that they're trying to get you to look at things biasly from their opinion. And you want people to be able to have to form their own opinion, listen to their own intuitions, and make their own decisions based on the plethora of knowledge and based on fact, not blown. A lot of the fake news out there is really obvious, and it's all been caught and it's all been seen, and yet people are still going to those same sources for information. So you got to look for sources that really strive to have integrity and to tell the truth at the heart of the matter. And why, ask yourself too, like, why are cops being quieted when they're standing up against the tyranny? They're seeing it in their coworkers. There's some psychopaths and narcissist energy coming out in some of these, cops and governors just being like, we're going to take total control here. You guys aren't allowed to leave your homes for extended periods of time. We're going to come take your children out of your home. I mean, it's very, very threatening stuff. It's really, really scary. And there are cops that are seeing this, that are amongst it, in it, that are speaking up against it, saying, this isn't right. This is not America. This is not even the world. This is not how you treat people. We are not, thank goodness, we're not that other country that does act like that. But why? Things leaning that way all of a sudden, all at once. I told somebody the other day, it feels like I'm in my home and there's a raid and people are coming in from all angles. They're coming in from the internet. There's internet attacks. There are shot attacks. There are like all children attacks. There's like from every door and window, there are floods of fear, all these channels of which the fear is trying to come through. And they're just going to each person individually going, well, which one's going to scare you? Which one's going to get you to do what I want you to do and be my puppet? So, and they're attacking all at once because they're losing power, you guys. That's the thing. When evil really starts to like, when it's losing. So if you think about it, you can kind of have a sense of humor and go, okay, things are coming to light, and people, those with ulterior motives and those who are really kind of power tripping right now, or really in that sociopathic energy. And we can even talk about some of that energy that the dark forces kind of feed off of, because we all know there are dark forces out there. But like, what's fueling that? And do we want to, we just got to pay attention to what's going on and just be hyper aware of the people coming in the windows and doors and just be like, what are you trying to get me to buy into? And I need to just really go inside and assess this. Is this true? Is this factual? Or am I just being fed a line that you guys are all just basically trying to get all this cattle to go into this one pen? It's like, just kind of really think it through. Like, why is this all happening all of a sudden, all at once, right now? Go ahead, Nikita.
I have a question for you, Amelia, and for you, Amy, because you're both very intuitive. I know for me, when I'm trying to get clarity on something or become more intuitive, I pause, take a deep breath. I try to listen to my body. But how would you suggest to people who are watching this that they be able to become more intuitive and listen to what's going on within themselves?
I feel like it's going to naturally come off of me talking about the inner work, and then at the same time I just heard the word discernment, so that would be like the next phase on from that. So maybe naturally we can answer that, and then maybe at the end of this, if you feel like you need more information or I haven't covered it, I'd definitely like to add more then. Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
Yeah. Amy? Oh.
Yeah, and we do need to, Christelle, go ahead.
I also do think for a lot of people that don't necessarily know what intuition is, because they can get it confused with gut instinct, which we have three sort of brains. We have our mental brain, we have our heart brain, and we have our stomach brain. And I think that all of these three need to be connected. really. But I think that eating well is one main thing too, because of sort of like helping to decalcify the pituitary gland, the third eye. So I think that a lot of the dark forces, which I'm sure Amelia's going to be talking about, is, you know, that they're affecting our food and our sources of living, and that stops us from being in our real true vegetative state, which is our true plant self, where we came into originally in the Garden of Eden, you know, in our first inception as human beings, and then we became sort of, let's say, corrupted along the way. But I think what this whole thing, just in a general point of view, this whole experience is it's testing both sides, both three elements, let's say, that you talked about, Amelia, the 3D, 4D and 5D peaks, Harry Potter style. You know, it's testing us all, because it's actually testing the ego, the thing that was implanted within us.
I was going to say, that's definitely what I'm going to go into great detail on the inner work.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, so it's, you know, we're all being tested, and Amy, as you say, like, it's just having, not necessarily being hyper vigilant to an extent where that becomes a fear, and we're just operating on like the frontal lobe of our brains, but you know, just being
alertness,
very awake.
Just being alert and aware. Yeah. That was a better word, alert or aware. Go ahead, Amelia.
So there's a few things I'm being told. I think that we should kind of, my guidance is saying start at the beginning, and that is that for those watching, let's first of all just be aware of the enemy, okay? Because in a battle, in a war, you know, when you have like the army and they're all sort of sitting there with a board, moving things around, they know who the enemy is. If you don't know who the enemy is, everything gets very, very confusing, okay? So, and I'm not going to go into great detail, but I do want people to understand that humanity is in general good, and that we have pieces of God within us, and that is why love is like a natural state for us. What everyone needs to be aware of is that there are humans that are on this planet that do not contain that heart energy. They actually are not able to have compassion or empathy for humanity, and they actually have selfish intentions of how they would like this world to be for them. Now, for some people, me even saying this is that it's too much for them. So please bear with me if there's anyone who's already feeling like this. Please just know that the video that we mentioned, that is by a scientist called Dr. Dolores Cahill, it will actually confirm this from a scientific perspective, okay, guys? So, and the link is below. So if you really need to, if you're getting into like, oh, go watch that and then come back and finish watching this, okay? For everybody else, please understand again that there is this group of humanity. It's a very small group, but they do actually have the majority of the money on the planet, okay? So if you think of the richest people on the planet, that is actually who this isolated group is. And their dream is to have this earth as a nature reserve for them, with a minimal amount of humans getting in the way, creating toxic stuff, using the water and using the bathroom. They just want as minimal amount of us here as possible so that they can enjoy the nature. They love nature too. They just want it to themselves. Okay, so we need to know who the enemy is so we can understand the battle. Because we are in a battle right now, and those that are the 3D muggles are completely unaware of it. They feel that we're in a crisis, and that the people that are going to save us are the doctors and the government and the rich people. That's who's going to save us, you know. And again, I'm not against doctors, absolutely not, but that's who they are relying on to help them. The conspiracy theorists think that we're absolutely doomed, basically, because they are seeing all the evidence of what these people can do, who they are, how powerful they are, how much money they have. But what they don't realize is that humanity has God within, and this God within is rising in all of us, and that we're moving into a part of the galaxy right now that this Earth only moves into every 23,000 years. And in this part of the galaxy, the energies that are coming through our solar sun and into our bodies is enabling us to actually upgrade and to become stronger and more intelligent and more intuitive. And for those that actually get into this path, you will find a dramatic increase in all things in your life. You will be more perceptive. You will start seeing number sequences. You will start having, you know, knowing who to call, when to call, etc., etc. So there is this global awakening happening. Does anyone want to jump in on what I've said so far? And then because I haven't gotten to the inner wounds, but I was told, let's set a foundation, because otherwise some people might, not follow it so much. Christelle?
As an artist, I was trained to work in a traditional sense, knowing light and dark. You need, in order to see the shadow, you've got to have the light there. So the shadow, in my perspective as an artist and someone that's very philosophical, would say that the shadow really only exists because the light is there. But I do also know that there's like a whole ET situation down the line as well. But there is in the occults, in, let's say, just the occult as in the actual magic, the CK magic spelling. There is a science to magic, and there's a magic in the science. And what's happened in our human brain, in our reptilian brain, is that we've become so accustomed to using our rationale and our science brain as evidence. We have to have things in a physical, perceptive way in order to understand that it's evidential, that it's real, and that's not true. We can look at philosophers like Plato and his theory about the cave theory, which, he says that he has a theory about a cave and that people are in the cave and they saw that these shadows were sort of like projected onto the cave and they were stuck in the cave and they were chained in there and they thought that was their reality. It took one person from that cave to just come out of that cave somehow, to have the initiation, incredible, to be different, to come out of it and experience a whole different reality. And I'm getting huge angel bump chills as I'm saying this.
Me too.
Yeah, this is very necessary, what you're saying.
So,
yes.
So it's, it's not necessarily that one of the 3D group is right or wrong, one of the 4D group is right or wrong, the 5. It's actually a whole, mega chills, guys, mega chills. A whole perception, appreciation. It's like it's seeing one thing, but having a look around it. This is what I teach my students, having a look around the object, above it, around it, inside it, closing your eyes and feeling that energy as well. And I think that's the thing that me as an artist and as an art teacher, as an art therapy teacher, is someone that is bringing that awareness to not just, to just think with our eyes, to just see with our eyes, and to just base that on reality, because it's a very limited, it is a truth, but it's a very limited truth perspective.
Absolutely. Yeah, the 3D, what you're talking about, obviously 3D as a dimension has this duality, so black, white, light, dark, up, down, left, right, everything is in duality in this dimension that we're in. But as we move into this awakening, we're actually moving into 5D and above, where actually we will be in a place of pure love. Now, this is me speaking, I guess, to the 5D girls right now, and I'm going to constantly try and sort of, when I say girls and guys, and keep trying to talk to each of the individual groups, because yes, again, it's not a superiority thing, it's just levels of awakening. And something you mentioned, if somebody has been drinking a lot of tap water and things like that, then yes, their pineal gland may be very calcified and it would have been harder for them to get to this awakened state. What I'm being told, I have a really strong inner guidance, what I'm being told is that there's 2 things that are really phenomenal that we want everyone to come away from after watching this beautiful group of women. And that is that, A, scientifically, we have a solution, there is no problem. And what we literally need to do right now, guys, is actually prosecute our media, because they have caused a lot of deaths through spreading lies and misinformation, and that is actually practically, as humanity, what we need to do next. We need to take on our media and clean it out. And it's our responsibility because they work for us. So that's the first thing, and that is what is covered very deeply and scientifically in the interview with Dolores Cahill, Dr. Dolores Cahill. We have a solution. There's already a solution for this virus. It's called hydroxychloroquine, and it's treated. It's for. Did I say it right?
It's hydrochloroquine.
Hydrochloroquine. Yeah. It's a very long word, but it's the common treatment for malaria. It's been used for 60 years. It's been used for 20 years in other aspects of medicine. It costs 10 cents, and the full dosage required is 3 tablets. That's 30 cents. So all that needs to happen is humanity needs to make sure they take vitamin C, D, and zinc, which will protect your immune system. And this is again according to the scientific lady. So please watch her video to see that I'm quoting her. And that if the doctors stock up on the hydroquinone,
hydrochloroquine, now I can't say it, hydrochloroquine.
Yes, then
we have to, but a lot of people have been, a lot of that misinformation you're talking about, a lot of people have been misinformed about it, and that's on purpose, because it's very easy to get, and it would cure everybody. So these people with these agendas don't want that to happen. You guys think about why people are doing what they're doing.
Exactly. And this is it.
Solution, when they want you to go do this other thing that's going to make them a lot more money.
Yeah, because actually the muggles are actually the most important ones, guys, right now. For a minute, if we look at this, because the muggles make up the majority of the population, and the muggles can actually study this scientific interview that we're mentioning and realize that absolutely everything they're being told is completely wrong. And that we need to put the responsibility on the media and actually sue them. We need to actually put together legal cases against every aspect of the media. That's what we need to do. So that's the thing. Oh, yes.
And the governors.
I was saying a very easy and immediate solution is to just go on, don't watch the news. Don't click on anything. That's how they get paid. That's how they make money. If we starve them that way,
the thing is the level of ignorance, that's not an option. We wouldn't be able to. What would be easier is for those in group 4 and 5 to actually spread the information to those in 3D so that they can actually realize that the media they're watching is incorrect. It's not about us starving them of the money. We need to actually say, you are causing deaths. You are destroying our planet, media people, and we're not happy about it, and you are going to pay us damages, and we are to bankrupt the media companies. So that's what I think we need to do, and actually launch new true truth.
We need to starve them on every level too. We need to take away what they're getting. They're getting fear, they're getting control. We've got even the corrupt governors and all that. We need to be suing them.
Yeah.
If this crisis has caused you pain because these tyrants have taken control and told you what's best for you, which is actually all the opposite of what's actually best for you, what's best for you is to build your immune system, get antibodies, be out there amongst each other, build herd immunity, and go out there and be in the park and fresh air and go to the beaches. All that stuff is what's really best for you. Like Sweden? Like Sweden just kept on going. And we can just take their example.
Sweden, Korea, I believe Japan, they all just wear masks and go out. The economy hasn't stopped.
According to the lady Dolores Cahill, she says that the only people that should wear masks are those that are symptomatic, and in fact they should be just staying at home for 2 weeks, and that there's no reason for any of us to be wearing masks or gloves. And in fact, wearing a mask actually awakens previously dormant viruses that are already existing within our body, and it awakens them due to the lack of oxygen from us rebreathing the old oxygen. So again, all the advice we're receiving, everything is wrong, everything is incorrect, and everything is for our destruction. And we need everybody on this planet to be aware of this, because there's more of us and we can overcome all of this.
We have them on numbers, we have them with the law, and we have the Constitution we need to be upholding right now, or we're going to lose it, you guys. We're going to lose our freedom if we don't fight for this. And
everyone has to fight, don't they?
Yeah, and Amelia, I don't know what you've been channeling, but I've been channeling success and victory for us at the other side of this. We really do have to stand up for ourselves and our rights. And
there's work to do, though. There's work to do in the 3D. There's work to do in the 4D, and there's work to do in the 5D.
Yes,
that's what I want. That's what I want to break down, because there's so many of these divine feminine groups and general groups that are literally just talking, but you don't actually come away with a checklist. I literally want everyone that watches this to have a full checklist of what they are to do next. And it will be very, very clear. So first of all, on your checklist, watch the video that we're talking about with Dr. Dolores Cahill and make notes, study it like you're studying for a degree or a college or a university thing, like study it. Okay, guys, really study it. Do your background checks so that you can feel as strongly as I do that this is the truth and this needs to be shared. So that's like the first thing on the list. Don't you agree, Amy?
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Then the next thing,
and wait, let me just add that if you guys lose the information because they take it off of YouTube, you can go to my BitChute. Just do bitchute.com/Amy Satori, and I've got all the deleted videos on there for your viewing pleasure.
yeah, and we'll have that again below in the link.
Yeah.
So for sure, and which is amazing, which we have to do because again, things are starting to appear like they do in communist countries right now. We are experiencing some communist stuff happening, and I'm not an expert on politics, but I do know that I'm able to choose what videos I want to watch, and I do not need a corporation to choose for me, and I'm sure everyone else agrees. We do not need censorship. We do not need that. We are adults. We are grown-ups. We can choose for ourselves. Thank you, Facebook. Thank you, any of the other people. So the work we're to do on 3D, 4D, 5D. So 3D. In the 3D, what we're to do is literally study the science, know the facts, and start signing the petition and launching these law cases. These, what's it called? You see it on the TV shows when they have like a group of people come together and they do a lawsuit together. Does anyone know what that's called?
Class action?
That's it, yeah. We need, I was nearly going to swear, we need tons of those. Okay, guys? So that's our 3D action, which once you watch this video, I guarantee you will watch this video, you will know someone that has a case. You will. I guarantee you will know someone that has a case once you watch this video. So everybody, that's our 3D action to take. Our 4D action to take is that we need to study the enemy. You need to watch the videos like Out of Shadows and Fall of the Cabal, and you need to understand the enemy, understand why they're doing this. It's so hard for all the good humans to understand this because you have hearts and empathy and you wouldn't hurt children and animals and you are a good person. You need to understand who the enemy is. They are not like us, and you need to understand what their plans are, what their goals are, and what they have been using to achieve those goals. So you must educate yourself and be able to say, hand on heart, I know what this enemy is about. Okay, so that's the 4D work.
And I can add in there, this isn't to hate them. It's not to be even against them necessarily. It's we need to even learn how to love the enemy.
I was going to get to that next. Yeah, that's very, very 5D. So 4D is literally face the truth, know the enemy. Know it. Just know it on a categoric level that you know what's going on and who the enemy is and why we are where we are now. Know the enemy. So that's number 4, which obviously the conspiracy theorists celebrate right now. They're like, yeah, that's what I do. Well, we need the 3s to do that and we need the 5s to do that. Now, once that's been done and you've now reached this point where you've done your 3D action, you know your rights, you know how you should behave, you know how to keep healthy, you've got your 4D action, you've educated yourself, you are a source of information and you are sharing that information to every single person you know, because don't worry if they don't like it. By the time they get that same video 5 times from someone, they'll go, oh, I really probably should watch this because I don't want to feel left out. And then guess what? Bam, we have another awakening. Okay, so the information to be shared with everyone. Now 5D. 5D is twofold. There's the inner work and then there's the action that we'll take, which is what you just spoke of, but that is the very last part. And the reason it's the last part is it's the hardest. Not many people watching this now will be ready for that, but we want you to know about it because again, we're giving you a full part plan, the whole plan. We're giving you guys everything in this video, and this video needs to be shared around the world because people need to know this information. So from a 5D perspective, I need everyone to understand that within every person in humanity, there is an ego and there is a higher self. The ego is a self-sabotaging urge. The ego's actual goal is suicide. So when someone commits suicide, their ego won. Ego is born through thoughts of separation from God. And ego is always negative. It's very clever. It has equal intelligence to you. So anyone watching, if you've ever said something you shouldn't have or done something you shouldn't have and something just told you to do it and you don't know why, whether it was run, punch, throw this, fire this person, do this, but something you later regretted, that was your ego. Its job is destruction, okay? Now, its polar opposite is the higher self. The higher self is your connection to God. The higher self is quiet, it whispers, it's always correct, it repeats itself, and the higher self will guide you towards the greatest life, the most wonderful experiences, abundance, and wonderful things. So those that you meet that are truly happy and truly living a great life, they are living in higher self. Those that you see destroying themselves, whether it's using drugs, alcohol, abusing people, abusing things, these are people that are within ego. Now, once you first address that this is the human condition, if anyone says they don't have a higher self, they're lying. If anyone says they don't have an ego, they're lying. Everybody in humanity has this. It's a fact. It's point blank, and I stand by it. Now, the way to live a good and happy life is to put the ego to sleep, in my opinion. This is what I do. I have many graduates at a very advanced level, ranging from cardiac surgeons and lawyers and doctors. I have a lot of very, very highly intelligent women that are my clients and graduates. Now, what we do is we actually starve the ego, because the ego's food is negative emotions. But these negative emotions are not necessarily in the present. They're actually in the subconscious mind. And so in the subconscious mind, often this is wounds from our childhood. It may actually also be ancestral wounds, things that have come down through our lineage of our families. So what we are to do to free ourselves of the torture that the ego actually does on our lives is we remove its food by having a very, very deep forgiveness process that we use on those that have hurt us. So the challenge for everybody now, the next piece of homework, is to write down a list of everybody that's hurt you in your life. I'd actually like you to do 2 lists, if you can. I'd like you to do a list of everyone that's ever hurt you, irritated or annoyed you in your whole life. So we're talking about like a good 3 pages worth. And I'd like you to go through and forgive all of them. And then I'd like you to do a second list of those that the top 15 people that have hurt you. And if you can't, if you're struggling for 15, at least 5. And then those ones, I want you to spend the next 2 weeks working on forgiving them. And I need you to understand that forgiveness has been polluted. It has been misconstrued so that people would not be able to do this very, very important work. Forgiveness is... Did you want to jump in? Yeah?
Yeah. I was just going to give another exercise on top of that that actually complements that very well. I have an exercise called Thank You, God, for My Misery. And you basically thank you, God, that I was abused when I was 5. Thank you, God, that somebody took all of my money. Thank you, God, that this boyfriend cheated on me. So you go through all that and you say the negative thing and you thank God for it. And then you write 10 to 15 advantages or benefits as to why that was a good thing. And if you do them back to back to back, like a half an hour, 45 minutes, one after the other, you'll start to see the divine plan in it. You'll see why your higher self had you do it in the first place, and how all of these things are never for your disadvantage. They're always to help you and to grow you and make you stronger. And at the end of this exercise, I've heard people call me back or just let me know that, oh my gosh, when I finally listened to you and I actually did the exercise and sat down for an hour and did it, it transformed my life. It was unbelievable. So
I absolutely love that, darling.
Fight your ego, because your ego will be like, no, we're not going to sit down for an hour and our time.
Oh, yeah.
Pen, but do it with paper and pen. Don't go, oh, I'm just going to have a good attitude and let all this go. No, you got to search deep and put it on paper. Fight the ego that will try to get you to do some kind of shortcut. Okay, sorry.
Can I offer another exercise as well?
Yeah.
Sure.
So I think like the voices that you guys are talking about, like other people who might have hurt you or like a bully you had growing up or something, like they become voices in your head. And you have to kind of sit and sort of think about like, what voice am I listening to right now? Like when you go to a place of fear or something like that, it's probably not your own voice. And so you kind of have to start recognizing your own voice, and that's not going to be your ego. And just think, okay, so what voice is this? What voice is that? Like, where's my voice? And what does my voice have to say? And then the more you can recognize your own voice, the more you can just sort of push those other voices out of the picture.
You're absolutely right. I call it breaking patterns, that there are still some records, like literally like a record player, that we have some things that are left over that you actually do need to physically picture as a record and like take it off and break it. And then next time it tries to play, you're like, no, you're broken, you can't play. But I would say this specific area is my area of expertise. Like literally, this is like, I've spent 20,000 hours studying this. And so what I want to say is that forgiveness is the key to happiness. And I want everyone to understand what forgiveness is not. And this is the most important thing, because forgiveness has been so badly tainted that people think it's something different than what it is. So forgiveness does not mean that you're letting them off the hook. Forgiveness does not mean that you let them know they're forgiven. Forgiveness does not mean that you have to reconnect with them. Forgiveness does not mean what they did was okay. Forgiveness is an act of self-love to free yourself of the food that your ego is using so that you're able to even hear these voices. Because in reality, and I can tell you this for a fact, if you go through thoroughly enough and you clear out everything, and I mean everything, your mind will become quiet. And that is because we are actually the silent observer. We don't actually have a voice. We have literally our higher self, which is a quiet, whispering, very calm, almost bored sounding voice. And then we have a screaming, shouting, satanic sounding ego that also acts very logical and knows all your weaknesses. And it will literally do whatever it needs to do, say whatever it needs to say to create destruction in your life. So the goal has got to be to remove the ego. And you can't remove it, but you can at least put it to sleep. Almost like picture it like you're in a boxing match in a ring. There's you and the ego. Right now, your ego, if someone hasn't done the work, is a very equal opponent. It's a tough opponent, and sometimes it can knock you out too. Well, if you starve it, or you literally starve it, and then it's the equivalent of injecting it with anesthetic, it starts sort of falling around and sort of collapsing in the corner. And other than when you're tired, sick, or hungry, it will not wake up. And so it will literally doze. And now you have this silent head and you can live your day feeling happy and joyful and wonderful. And then
can't you also say this is the perfect analogy of what these forces are attempting to do to us right now?
Break that down a bit more.
They're weakening us. They're trying to get us tired. They're trying to get us scared, confused, held back, not in our power. Oh God, please tell me just what to do. I'm so scared. I don't know. You know, it's like they're weakening our immune system. They're taking away our vitamin C. They're taking away all of our doctors from giving us good, sound advice. They're breaking down our immune systems. They're putting a mask on our face so that we have to keep breathing in our toxic fumes that we're supposed to expel.
Yeah, and turning the police that are meant to protect us against us. It's this everything.
Yeah. So it's like
just turn it on its head.
Yeah.
Christelle?
I just want to say that for people like ourselves that have really worked on silencing the ego, I'm sure that we're all very tapped into the collective consciousness as well. And sometimes it can be other people's egos or even the divine masculine's ego.
That's a whole other story, girl. We might need a separate meeting on that one, darling.
Like I'm up at between 2 and 5 and I'm listening to my divine masculine's ego or like conversations and stuff. It's like, is that me or is that someone else? But yeah, there's kind of like a level, there's the funny paradox of the truth seekers and the truth givers are seen as the maniacs and the mad people. And I just want to clarify, I'm quite happy with being seen like that, because I know that within my soul and within myself, I'm a good human being and I only want the best out of anyone. So it makes me question, you know, the narrative and the intent and the agency that the media are portraying and who's behind that, you know.
We need to pull behind the curtain, like in the Wizard of Oz, and see who they are, because they're actually not that scary. They're only scary because no one knows who the enemy is.
Exactly, and it's kind of like I can't help but think that I'm constantly reminded of The Matrix. I'm sure you are too.
Oh my God, yeah, my clients have been studying it a lot lately.
Something that I've been telling people to go and have a look at, you know, or go and watch The Dark Crystal, you know, for example, or just like another avenue, because in the arts as well, in films and movies, you know, in theatre, in paintings as well, that there is that too. So sometimes I think as human beings, we're also very good at assimilating information visually, because that's how we have operated in the cave, through music as well, through frequency.
Yes.
So that's another thing, is to really tap into and look into the kind of frequency, the music that is being sent out into popular culture, as well as the visual aids and like the visual symbolism as well, because we've got to remember how symbols as well.
Absolutely.
You know? And today, it's not like an alchemist in their little studio in the God knows 1300s. It's today that we are alchemists today. The other thing, I'm just going to leave and come back in a minute, is to appreciate and to understand that science and art, the humanities and science, are actually one thing. They're not separate. So it's important to bring in that union, not only with the divine feminine energy and the divine masculine energy, but the energy between the masculine side of our brain, the feminine energy within our brain as well, and to combine it together. We are coming into a place of union in all senses. And so that is really the initiate, the experience of the initiate into the occult, is that, you know, and this is void of dogma, this is void of religion, this is void of politics. This is our essence that we've got to come back into. It's not anything new, we just forgot. And that's the thing that people are freaking out over. Like, what do you mean we forgot? Well, who's controlling us? Well, just take one step. It's just like reading one book, and that book will take you to another book and another book. Don't even listen to what I have to say. Go and do your own research, you know?
Yeah, know thy enemy. That's what people have got to understand. There's clearly an enemy, because we are clearly under attack. Let's know who our enemy is. Then we can destroy it. It's you know, the thing is, that's what they don't want us to know, is who the enemy is, you know? My angel said Nikita just had a thought. Sorry, Nikita, I can't say your name right now. Nikita.
At least you didn't call me Chiquita, like Chiquita Banana.
Was there a thought that just went through your mind?
I mean, I have so many. So many.
Yeah, they said
I suppose it's like, yes, know thy enemy. That's a good place to start, and especially within yourself. Make sure the enemy's not within you.
Well, it's the enemy within and the enemy without. So know thy enemy is what the homework, I guess. Know thy enemy within. So do your study on the ego. Some good sources of information is The New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson. We should list those below as well, so I'll just make a note. Then the enemy outside, again, do watch the conspiracy theorist videos, which aren't really conspiracy, they're actually just fact. And again, the ones I recommend is The Fall of the Cabal, which is a 10-part series, and Out of Shadows. If you do that, just those two, that's going to give you enough knowledge to be able to really share and help others.
If somebody finds all of that overwhelming, do you have another suggestion for them?
This is the problem, is that it's only going to be more, it's in comparison to what is planned by the enemy for us, this is nothing. You have to put on the seatbelt and go on the roller coaster and just do it. Again, I wanted to swear then. Just do it. You have to do it because it's real. It's like I'm being shown it like being in a glass cage, okay? And there being something dangerous outside, and all you're doing is going like this. Wouldn't you rather know?
I think some people don't, because it makes them feel helpless.
Well, here's the thing, is that's why we're giving you guys the steps. Because in reality, if you do the Fall of the Cabal and the Out of Shadows, and you follow up with this scientific one by Dolores Cahill, you are good. Because now you know what to do. You are now armed. with information. You are armed with knowledge. You know who the enemy is and you know what the solution is. Now you just need to get on out there and do it, you know?
It'll give you courage. It'll give you courage to face those fears and to see what's really in there. It's just like that analogy is so perfect, pulling back the curtain with Oz. Because what did they do when they finally got there and they thought he was the all-knowing Oz?
This little skinny white guy.
Yeah, it's like, what? So that's what happens, though, when you look at it. You're like, okay, that's really disgusting. That's really gross. And, okay, so what do we do to clean this mess up? You're like, yeah, what do we do to clean it up? And we know what to do.
So, sorry, I was just told something. It will awaken the warrior within, and that's why your ego is trying to stop that. It's trying to give you reasons not to, but you follow what we're saying, and that's why we love having you here, Nikita, specifically, because she is not as knowledgeable on the 4D stuff, although her heart is very much like the 5D. So she's a perfect example for everyone to see, because obviously, you know, Amy, myself, and Crystal are very, you know, this is something that's familiar to us. So it's great because everyone can recognize this within themselves. Their ego is trying to stop them. It's telling them ignorance is bliss and that you're going to feel helpless. Well, that's because you're projecting into the future how you'll feel if you know stuff that you don't know yet. You have to know it first and then know that there's solutions. And so it's all there for you, you know?
Have you ever gone to like you've had a mess with your finances or your bookkeeping and it's such a nightmare and you just avoid it and avoid it and avoid it. And then finally you just get the feeling, all right, I just got to roll up my sleeves and just look at what's there. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay. I finally see what's really at the bottom line. And then you can sleep at night. It's going to be similar to that.
Yeah.
You'll figure out what's really going on, and you'll need a little time to digest it. Maybe you'll cry for a couple days pretty hard, but then it's like Mama Bear wakes up in you. This protective nature comes out, and you want to protect all those people that you love and all the children that you know, and you'll want to just be, you know, you just step in your power, like she said. The warrior comes out, and you just feel like really protective of yourself and everyone. Yeah.
I have a question for all of you. So if someone is watching the videos that you guys are suggesting and it really resonates and they can feel like the warrior coming up within them and they're like, yeah, and they want to take action, there's like different challenges that come along with taking action. And one of them is criticism. Because as soon as you start putting yourself out there in any way, you are opening yourself up to criticism, backlash, various different negative energies that can come your way. So what are some like practical suggestions or energetic suggestions that you would give to people who are hesitant to take action? Because
I think this should be a two-part answer. I have something to say, and then I know Amy has something that will probably fit perfectly with it. I'm just so glad you brought this up, honey. I'm so glad you brought this up. Again, you are here for a reason, because this is what's coming up. You are the collective consciousness of the viewer right now, okay? So I love this. This is wonderful. So yeah, you're right. It's ridicule. It's the fear of ridicule. Here's the difference. Once you become absolutely certain, now go back to those 3 steps, okay? So you've understood the science, you know the solution. You now know who the enemy is, step 4. Step 5, you've worked on your inner self. You've starved your ego. You're now at peace, and your ego cannot say, well, what if these people think this? Or who are they going to think? You don't have that in your head anymore, because it comes from ego. The ego is what makes you fear what other people think. So by going through step 3, 4, and 5, you've already solved that. But what I would tell you is, once you are sure, and plus the fact that you are connected to us, I have a community called Empress Evolution 1111. It will be listed below. It's an Instagram community of divine feminines. Once you have positive friends that you can talk to about this, you won't feel crazy anymore. You won't feel isolated. And if you do lose friends, it's okay, because you would have lost the people that are no longer a vibrational match for you. So you should not be in fear of it. And also just know this, that once this all comes to light, they will look at you like you were the person that really tried to deliver, you know, this beautiful truth. and that they will realize that you were right, because this is coming out. They can't stop it. It's happening. It's just a matter of time. So understand that you are just a front runner. You're a front runner by sharing this. I have a good friend from Germany that lives in Miami. She shared something yesterday. She had literally the most crazy comments came at her, people telling her she should die of corona and all sorts. And she actually just replied to them with a little heart, each one with a heart. And that's perfect, because they were not able to shake her, because she knows that they're coming from a place of fear, they're coming from a place of ignorance, and she just responded with love. But she also didn't then engage with them, she didn't try and argue with them, and she certainly didn't try and shout at them in the street. She just shared her truth and then connected with people of equal vibration. Amy, do you want to go next and then Crystal? Because
Yeah, I was going to say that I would so much rather speak out now and get in whatever kind of trouble I have to get in than to see our country get taken over and become communist or whatever else. I mean, there's so many issues they can take. And I would so much rather be Mama Bear now and sound like a total fool than to be wrong on the other side of this and feel like I could have done more. And the more cops that start speaking out, other cops are going to feel like they can speak out. And the more doctors that keep putting their videos out because they know the truth, you know, and the more doctors are going to feel like there's way more of us than there are them. So give each other the backbone to keep going forward and speaking our truth. And the more we get censored, the more we pop up on other channels. And the more they tell us to shut up or shut this down, we go another direction. We're like water, man. We're just going to go forward whichever way we possibly can. And if I die in this, I die in this.
We are unstoppable. And just
there are so many of us, you know, a certain number of us could sacrifice whatever we got to sacrifice for the greater whole of the good of this planet. And trying to save our humanity right now. It's really so much bigger than people even have any clue about. So it's like we're fighting for the soul of the planet. We're fighting for Mother Earth right now. We're fighting for our freedom.
Life. We're fighting for life. Life.
For the very life that we had, all these wonderful things that we were taking advantage of before just a couple of months ago. We just want that back.
But we're fighting for life in general, aren't we, Amy? We're fighting for life. I say not our life. I'm not saying I'm fighting for my life. I'm saying fighting for life. For life to exist here, that's life. Because obviously anyone who's really on the advanced end of 4D and 5D, you know, there's all this AI stuff that's the next thing that they're trying to bring out. So that I'm saying we're fighting for life. We're fighting for organic, natural, healthy, happy life on this planet. So when you realize that, then you start to understand why the warrior spirit is fully activated here, you know, within us. And it's necessary and it has to happen. And we cannot be making choices from fear, which is why that inner work I talked about is so important, because the reason you're feeling fear is because the inner work hasn't been completed as yet.
Does that help though, Nikita?
Totally. I just think people, as you move, as you evolve, as you move forward within yourself, it's like uncharted territory. And you come across new obstacles, and it's nice to know or have a sense of like anticipate what's coming up, so you can sort of not be surprised, not be taken off guard, and be able to keep moving forward. You know.
Yeah, and one prayer that is a really powerful prayer is to just pray to see the truth in all things, and you can pray the angels of justice and just ask the angels of justice, please. Help us get on the other side of this and help us gain the momentum toward the positive. Let everybody retaliate and have a revolution and gain our independence again.
What I would say though is also I'm an expert on the ego and the unknown. The ego loves to worry about the unknown. Trust the unknown. Are you there, my darling?
I am. I can hear you, but it's just on and off. But I'm patient. I'm here.
We're unstoppable, darling.
Warriors. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, you were saying something about the ego.
No. Let's hear you, because you're getting resistance.
Well, I've been thinking about during our discussion, I've been thinking about Paulo Coelho, who's one of my favorite writers. Super spiritual dude. If you can, we have time now, so there's no real excuse, but please read The Alchemist, because The Alchemist will teach you so much about so many aspects of spirituality. And there's also a manual that he has that's based on the Tao principle, which is it's called the Manual for the Warriors of the Light. And in one of his sayings, he says, and at some point, you've got to invite the enemy into your tent. So I'll just repeat that. At some point, you've got to invite the enemy into your tent. So you've got to really know your enemy, as you say, Amelia. And just really just go, okay, hang on a second. It's like, Amy, when you mentioned once, that you were having this really high vibe meditation, and, you had this experience where, I'm not going to say the whole thing, but a negative, very high powered negative energy came in and stepped in, and you were like, actually, you've got a really interesting point there. It's kind of like that, it's not being because if you're operating in a space of light, you've got to understand all aspects of where that light is being cast and where it's not being cast.
Doggone it.
Now, actually, this is a perfect time for me to bring up the fact that there's inner and outer darkness. So you've got your inner light, which is your higher self and your Christed self, and then there's the inner darkness, which is the ego. Outside of us, there's also outer darkness and outer light. And so even the fact that we're getting this resistance with Crystal, this stuff does happen, because again, there's these different levels, and the technology is running on like fourth dimensional stuff. So again, there's, as you see people getting interference, one thing I'd like the muggles to understand is that when you see someone with a lot of energy against them, whether that's Trump, whether that's president that's currently in America, whether that's, whether someone brings up a solution for something like the hydroxychloroquine, can you say it, Amy?
Hydrochloroquine.
Yeah. And if you can see all this terrible evidence against it when you go on Google, I want you all to start noticing when someone is strongly against something, it normally means someone has been threatened. So, for example, Clodial silver spray, I bought some for my mother. She's a nurse, and I had her spray it every morning and night before she went to bed and when she woke up in the morning. When she Googled it, she was like, Amelia, it's the most dangerous thing ever. Oh, my God. And I was like, Mum, use your logical brain. Why would there be so much against it if it wasn't a threat to someone? So everyone needs to start, which brings me on to the 80-20 rule, but I feel like there's some other stuff we're to cover before I mention the 80-20. Amy?
What?
I feel like there's some other stuff that you three have to say before I talk about the 80.
No, but I could not agree more. If things should not be being censored. If we could just wave a magic wand and let it all just be honest, then we would be good. There are some really incredible reports and scientific studies and everything on all of these things that are really good. Vitamin C, how could they be making vitamin C out to be a bad thing for you? They're telling people they cannot have it. Why? You guys got to think about that. Like, why are they suddenly saying, after all these years of all these, building your immune system is a very positive thing. Now, all of a sudden, it's like everything that was once seen as a very positive thing is now seen as a very negative thing. So you just got to question it. You just got to
think we're stupid. We need to show them different.
Yes, we are not stupid, and we're not just I've asked that. I've been like, did they think we're stupid? Did they think we just believe whatever they say? Like,
they actually do.
Yeah, and they think that we're going to forget all the knowledge that we accumulated before. And it's like, no, it's still there. I still know vitamin C and all these other things are really good for you. So, and hydrochloroquine has been incredible for people. I've heard so many testimonials of it. So it's like, oh my gosh. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, the thing is they do really stay amongst themselves, these elites, and so they spend all their time speaking in that derogatory fashion, and we're the useless eaters, and they don't socialize with us, and so actually they really do think we're stupid, and I think it's going to surprise them, and that's why we have these amazing scientists and these amazing police officers and these amazing doctors and all these amazing spiritual leaders and women like ourselves that are standing up and saying, no, we're not having it. No. And that's the difference. They weren't expecting that.
I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I'm having like the biggest storm going on right now.
Really?
There's thunder and hail, and it's just like crashing all around. It's amazing.
It's great.
And I'll just say that in terms of like Mother Earth is going to cause catastrophic events to happen if it has to wake humanity up that way, if it has to resort to it. But I'm hoping that we can head a lot of that off by coming together, you guys. We really need to come together, no matter the political difference, no matter if we're 1, 2, 3, or whatever we are.
And whether in race and color as well, because they are using a lot to try and divide and separate us, because when you divide groups, they become easier to control. And so wherever you see any kind of division going on, we need to work against that. We're not to allow it. We are one race. We are humanity. We have different shades of skin. We have different cultures, but we are humanity, and humanity is under attack. Not one race is under attack. The entirety of humanity is currently under attack, and the entirety of humanity needs to come together right now and say no, basically.
No, I do not authorize this tyranny. No,
I do not comply.
Go forward with this
I do not give permission. I am sovereign. I am God. I am free. I am not having this.
You cannot take our children. You cannot keep us in our homes. You cannot keep us from healthy, happy things. No.
Yes.
To do that, you have to stake your claim on it and do not authorize or give your permission. By acting like sheep, you're actually giving your permission.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is, I actually, on Empress Evolution 111, I do have an actual, like a sovereignty thing that people can say. Because if you are aware of the energies in 4D and 5D, this is a spiritual battle, but it's playing out in 3D. And so when you do not give your permission, if you do not give your permission, then they actually can't do this, which is why all of the movies and the cartoons and the Simpsons and the predictive programming had to take place, because they had to show us what they were doing. And then they were just laughing at us because they were showing us what they were doing. But you know what? Their symbolism will be the end of them, because it allows us with clever brains to connect the dots and see who they are and what they want, and we can again say no. And we're not going to have to go through Mother Nature doing this crazy stuff, because we are waking up now. And if we weren't, then we would need something. We can do this peacefully. This can be a bloodless battle. This could be a bloodless battle. We use the law, we take on the media, we clean out the media, we make it so it's truthful and honest and not tinged with fear. We help humanity to heal their inner wounds so that they are feeling better, and we help humanity to educate themselves and know what the hell's going on. So the wonderful thing, I learned about all this stuff 10 years ago. So right then it was quite scary, because there was no solutions. No one knew what I was talking about, and everyone I shared it with thought I was absolutely bat crazy, okay? Again, wanted to swear then. So now you learn about it. We're in the midst of this. The evidence of them wanting to do this stuff is clear. You are now one of many. You are now part of this growing majority of conspiracy theorists that know this information. This is the safe and wonderful time to learn this information. Please have compassion for us that learned this 10 years ago, because back then it was quite a sight and we had no idea what was going to happen. But now we're in it, and it's real, you know?
Nick, I think Nikita has a question.
Oh, I just had another thought, sort of a side note. Like historically, the best defense against regimes, any kind of like ism that has sought total authority over a population, has been the family unit. And that's something that always needs to be protected, I think, and valued. And I think, you know, anytime, but today, why not today, is a great time to just strengthen the family, to strengthen, your community, and then beyond that, the different layers.
I mean, the family is one of their main enemies. The darkness is, or the negative people's enemy is family structures. And the reason why is when you have a strong family structure, with the father and the mother, and they love each other and they trust each other and their children, they are going to protect themselves. They're going to educate each other. Like, it's a unit. Like in the army where they're like a unit. Oh my God, my angels are making me laugh. They just went G unit, like 50 Cent. But yeah, you're a unit. You're a unit, and they want everyone to be individuals, because individuals alone can be scared and things like that, and can be used to turn against one another and stuff. So the family unit is one of their biggest things that they've tried to break. That's why a lot of the music has all been very much detrimental to happy, solid families. A lot of the movies, all that sort of stuff. But again, you will learn all this, everybody, when you do your, when you watch the Fall of the Cabal, and when you watch the Out of Shadows. This will all become very apparent, and they want our children. They want our children. So you try and get children from a family, that mother and father will die to protect their children. They don't want humans like fighting to the death with them. They want to be able to break family units up. You see, the one thing we've really got to our advantage, guys, other than the fact that there's absolutely tons of us, sorry, wanted to swear then, there's tons of us and not very little of them, but also they don't understand love. But because they don't experience love. What that does is it puts us at such an advantage, because love's the most powerful thing on the planet. So we have love. We love one another. We love our families. We love humanity. We love. And so that is going to be our power. And they are not expecting it because they don't experience it. So they have no idea what it is. So we can hit them so hard, which I kind of think brings us on to the end part that we were talking about before, Amy. But Nikita has a question, my darling.
Oh, just something to add to what you're saying. And going back to forgiveness, if you can forgive yourself, others, whoever, like, that removes a block for love to thrive and flow.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So that's why forgiveness is really important in this. We're going to get this little checklist together at the end. So it's like, first thing, educate 3D. So educate in the 3D is step 1. Okay. Step 2, educate on the conspiracy stuff, which we can call the 4D. So we educate on that. Then we have step 3, which is do the inner work, which gets you into a 5D state of love, where fear no longer controls you, and fear is not, you are able to disconnect from fear. Okay, so that's like your 3 main steps. And then the final step is the ability to finally, having become aware of the science, overcome this problem. So we get this one thing solved, become aware of what they've been doing, so we can then actually shut them down that way. And we've now healed within ourselves, our vibration has risen. And remember, only 1% of the entire population needs to be in an awakened state, and then the entire planet will awaken. It's just science. It's just how it works. Okay, guys? So we don't need everyone on the planet to wake up. 1% waking up will impact the whole. There's all sorts of scientific studies you guys can look up about that. But so the last and final stage, bearing in mind that part of step 3 is obviously as well stating your sovereignty and stating that you don't comply and you don't consent. Step 4 is us being able to forgive the enemy. And the reason we will forgive the enemy will be purely because we want to be able to let go of this whole horrid experience and just live in a world of love. So for our own self-love, we will forgive these people. We won't allow them. We won't say that what they did was okay. We won't re-engage with them. We won't let them off the hook. But we will forgive them because we want the peace of mind that comes from having no anger towards anyone on the planet, because that gives us inner peace. And inner peace is the greatest asset anyone can have. And so we forgive them for that reason. But we never, ever, ever, ever allow them to do anything like this ever again. And if they don't want to be any longer on this planet, it's okay. We'll mourn them briefly. Just please follow the steps. I said, please watch the scientific video, then work on looking at the fall of the Cabal and the outer shadows, then do the inner work and forgive everybody that's ever hurt you, irritated or annoyed you. Spend 2 weeks on the ones that hurt you the most, the top 5 to 15. And then finally, upon completion of all of that, when you've made friends with a couple of people that are on the same vibrational level of you, as you, and you're feeling good and calm, then you can work on forgiveness of the enemy. But we're not there yet. We've got a couple of steps to get through, okay? So let's not try and do that too quickly yet, because we have to move everyone through these other steps first. But you should know that's the end goal, because at the end goal, once we have taken back our planet, once we have understood what the powers that were doing, and once we have all healed our inner wounds, now we have heaven on earth. So to finalize and complete that heaven on earth, we forgive the enemy so that we can then never have to even look at this stuff again. Children will not be studying this stuff in history classes in the future. This will be forgotten. I believe there's a quote in the Bible that even says, this time we will not go back and look at again. It will be forgotten. And it will be forgotten because it doesn't need to be given our energy. You know, this tyranny, once it's over, we just concentrate on being in the present and creating the best possible future for ourselves and the generations to come.
Nikita, what about you?
Exciting!
Just things to add to what you're saying, really. I know we were talking about books earlier, and one of the most powerful books I ever read was one called The Drama of the Gifted Child by Alice Miller. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that book.
No.
Oh, I think everybody as a child had or developed some kind of, survival strategy or strategies to get through traumas big and small, into adulthood. And that's what she's talking about when she says gifted child, because she thinks that's the gift, that children have, is to develop these strategies.
Absolutely.
And in this book, she talks about how to recognize those strategies and, when they're no longer serving you because you don't need them anymore. And so that would be one suggestion that I could make for people watching.
I love that, darling. Don't you, Amy?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the most powerful tools that people could use to work on themselves as well, and there is a bit of a learning curve, but it is very, very simple and profoundly effective in terms of dealing with any stressful thought or healing anything of the past or present or even future, is Byron Katie's work, which is, you could find out more about it at thework.com or thework.org. I think both go there. You can look her up on YouTube and see how she does her work. You basically, can fill out a worksheet. I've even got a video explaining how to do her work, the way that I do her work anyway. But that would be another really great tool. There are so many, and we'll list all of them for you guys down below. So
yeah. No, I think
so
that's really good, because the thing is, as we said, with the ego work, with the forgiveness work, it's about being able to forgive those that hurt you. And in my work, because this is all I do full time, I don't have any other job, this is all I do, the majority of people's blockages or their wounds, which are creating the blockages, it is normally parental. It's normally mother or father. If it's not mother and father, it's stepfather. And if it's not mother, father or stepfather, it's a sibling. It's normally something that happened early on in life. But yes, darling.
I would absolutely agree with that. And also, just to add, you have to forgive yourself for carrying on what was done to you, or like what you felt you had to do, or who you had to be, the shoulds, so you have to forgive yourself for carrying on their voices, the ones that weren't good for you.
In my experience, darling, it's best to forgive those that have hurt you first, and then attempt to forgive self. Forgiving self is the hardest thing, and that's why with my clients we do it last. And I have techniques One of the techniques I use, and again, it's so important, the order, guys. So you first of all, again, you do a list of everyone that's ever upset, irritated, or annoyed you in your life. It should be about 3 pages long, and it should take you about 2 hours. Go through and forgive everyone first. Then do 5 to 15 of those that hurt you the most, and spend 2 weeks deeply forgiving them to the point of love, where you can literally see them, like Amy said, as a blessing in your life, whether it's the fact that it's enabling you to become a coach that teaches against sexual abuse, or whatever it is. Whatever it is, for me personally, my personal one, my stepfather was verbally abusive to my mother and my brother, and I was 6 years old, and I defended them, and it was stressful, and it caused health issues with my adrenals and things, because I grew up in such a stressful household. But here's the thing, I fear no one. I was 6 years old, standing up to a 6'2" man. And so now in adulthood, like, I literally fear no one. And so the blessing of that experience is that I fear no one, man, woman, child, anything. And that's what's enabling me to do the job I'm doing now, because I am truly fearless.
So along those lines of forgiveness and everything too, I do feel, as you guys were saying this, I felt some people coming forward or feeling guilty because they have participated in this system without realizing they were just kind of little puppets along the way, helping these people build power and not even recognizing that there was this thing going on. And now that it's getting out of control, they're saying, oh my gosh, I participated in this. I didn't even mean to, and I didn't know that I was a part of it. Or they're, you know, a cop that's kind of let this thing get out of control. Their own fear has taken over, and they're started to act like a dictator. You know, anyone can stop at any moment and have a realization that they want to do the right thing. Any of you can stand up at any time, at any part of the process, and just even put your hand on your heart, go alone in your cop car and just sit there and touch your heart and say, I love you. I love you so much. I love you no matter what you do or how you participated in anything. The past does not matter. Nothing that's ever happened in the past ever has to define who you are in this moment and the moments going forward. So as long as you recognize and do the right thing and start taking right action or what you're called to do, no matter how deep you are in it, I do feel a lot of these people are going to come to the light, and they are going to be forgiven, and they are going to be able to fill that hole in their heart with love and forgiveness and radical action, right action.
It's going to be amazing, guys. It's going to be amazing because the thing is you're right. There will be shame and guilt and all these sort of negative emotions. But the thing for everyone to know is only those at the very top, like literally 13 individuals, are the ones planning this. Everybody else is the puppets. There is mind control being used on some of the entertainers and things like that. And blackmail. Because what happens is they first they will try to buy a person. Then if they won't be bought, they will get evidence on them and use it as blackmail, whether that's like a mistress or a woman, honey trap, that stuff. Even worse, if they can get them to have sex with an underage girl, get that on camera. Now these people, they give them their careers, but they can take them away. So these people are operating under blackmail. So please don't imagine that the majority of the people that are working on the dark side are actually doing it out of choice. Most of them, their entire families would be murdered if they didn't. So, you know, and then here's another thing, when we do get to that last stage of forgiveness and forgiving the really worst culprits, please know what monster created that monster. If they are like a paedophilic, satanic, child murdering, disgusting person, the chances are their parents were too, and they went through it too. So understand this is generational. The stuff they've inherited from their parents, the experiences they had in childhood were probably worse than anything we could even conceive. And so the only thing for us to do is to forgive them. But yeah, Nikita?
I had a thought for people when they are starting to go through this inner work and healing. I found, like, something I've observed is that people who've been through a lot, people who have the guilt, the fear, the shame, they're either afraid of good things happening, or they feel like they don't deserve for good things to happen. And so what suggestions would you guys have for people who feel that way, to sort of embrace good things happening, to bring about good things happening?
My suggestion is to use affirmations. I do have a free affirmation track that will work for any woman. I don't have one for children or men just now, but on howtobehappy.com you can download a free affirmation track. Affirmations are really good because it helps you to identify, if you have trouble saying I am beautiful or I'm worthy of love, then you already know you've pinpointed a blockage within yourself that you can then work on. So affirmations are good, but again, this forgiveness work is everything, because that little voice in your head that's telling you you're not worthy, that's the ego. So let's go back to source and remove its food, and its food are the people that hurt you, and the way to get rid of it is to forgive it. So you see, everything comes back to forgiveness. Everything comes back to forgiveness, and then forgiveness of self at the end. And now you're clear, and you are clear, and you're able to be in the present, and you're not being shamed by the past or worried about the future. You stay in the present and you take action, and you're at peace.
Maybe something to add to what you're saying too is just remembering, like, it's a process. Evolving is a process, and you have to have a sense of humor too, and that's part of forgiveness as well, is just like being able to laugh at, oh geez, you know, I fumbled, or that didn't go exactly as I hoped it would go.
Exactly. Patience. Yeah, patience with yourself. And but you can move through this fast right now, can't you, Amy? It's possible to move through this fast now, because the energies, again, the part of the planet we're in this 23,000 year cycle, and the Earth is going to upgrade. The Earth is going to become a wonderful place. It's happening. That's why they're trying to stop it, because it's happening. And so these energies are going to really help to support those that want to really grow, evolve, and just become pure love. There is so much, like, literally, like, conspiring to help this happen for everybody.
Yeah, I would watch Awakening with JP on Instagram and watch.
Oh, he's so funny.
Yeah, and George Carlin. Oh my gosh, you guys, there's some really great comedy around all of this. You guys just have a good laugh sometime, and even cry, because there are going to be some things that you realize in their comedy routines that are kind of true that maybe you didn't see, and it's going to hurt. But cry, just cry and laugh and just get it out, and just, sometimes comedy can help you. I mean, I've been at the worst times in my life, and I've just gone and looked in the mirror, and I've just lost it laughing. Just like, what am I in? And did I sign up for this? And then you just laugh, and there's this huge relief that comes off of you, a huge release of energy even. And it just helps you see more clearly if you can let off that steam somehow,
That also releases tension in the body, and that's where you store trauma.
Exactly.
I'm being told a great thing for us to end on is for people to know that, crying is good, guys. So something that I do have to teach a lot of my clients is they associate crying with sadness. But see it as purging. Like, what's happening on the earth right now is we are purging all of the darkness to the surface. We're shining it all, we're putting it all out on the line to dry. We're letting everybody see everything. It's all coming out. So when you cry, think of it as purging. You're purging emotions. You will feel better after you cry. I say to people, in fact, lay on the bathroom floor and make a big dramatic thing of it if you like. Bang your hands up and down and cry. But crying is good. And I mean, every time I watch a video of a woman being abused by police or something like that, I just bawl. I bawl. But then afterwards, I'm not bawling because I'm like, oh my God, the world's in a nightmare. No, I bawl because I feel that emotion. So feel. It's okay to feel. Be human. They're trying to make us not human. Be human. Feel. Have compassion. Have love. And speak with passion and speak with love, because we are human, and we will not be made to become anything other. We are going to be human, and we are going to have heaven on earth, and we are going to have unity. This is going to be heaven on earth. That's happening, and we're going to take it.
What have you been channeling? What do you see coming in the future for us?
Oh, I actually have an IGTV series, just like 3 or 4 videos, but it's 3 videos and a bonus one. And the first one was, how did we get here? The second one was, what do we do now? And then the third one was, what does the future look like? And in that video, I talk about the fact that, everyone should watch the Zeitgeist Addendum and Venus Project, so that they can get an idea of the fact that some people were already planning what we could do with this world if if we had a reset, if we really went back to scratch and we looked at all of the resources that this planet has and we shared them out, and not in a communist way, but we shared them out with love and humanity at our source. So I definitely recommend watching those documentaries. Again, we'll list those below, so we have lots of viewing for people to watch. So that's the Zeitgeist Addendum and the Venus Project. We're actually 50 years ahead in terms of technology than we know we are. So, for example, what we're at the moment is the equivalent of the 70s. Can you imagine how much we changed from the 70s to now? Computers used to take up the equivalent of a 2-bedroom apartment. Now they're like the size of a phone, you know? And so all of the patents that have been held back by the dark shadow government will be coming out very, very, very soon, and that is going to change things. We will then have free energy. We will have the the healthcare system will be completely revolutionized. The ability to grow back limbs, the ability to anti-age. There's going to be some phenomenal things in our very near future. Food production using, again, these patterns to be able to grow food, to be able to, life can be beautiful, and it will be beautiful. We have the technology to clean the oceans and the environment, to reverse all of these problems. Please understand, we are 50 years ahead of what we think we are, and all of that will come out imminently. So I am on the side of the current US president. I am on his side. I believe that Christ consciousness is working through him. I believe that God is bringing heaven on earth, and he is operating through certain individuals that can make huge differences in our world. I do believe the people that are the enemy are literally like demons, and I do think that that particular man is a bit of an ogre, but an ogre is needed for this job of slaying demons. And so obviously in the future, when the world's much nicer, we'll probably have a much nicer president, but for now he is necessary. And we need to be aware of all the mind control that's being put through entertainers and through media against him, because that is because they're threatened by him because he hasn't been bought and they don't have any video footage they can use to blackmail him. That's the reason why they're so threatened. So the world's going to be a good place, but we have to stand up. We have to wake up. Everyone needs to take these steps that we've clearly identified in this video. Everybody has to educate themselves on the science. Everybody has to educate themselves on the conspiracy. Everybody needs to do the self-work and the forgiveness work on themselves and on others. And then finally, once we're on the apex of this new world, we will forgive and let go anyone that was involved in this, and we will go into this great new world, and we will flourish and we will thrive, and humanity will be better than it's ever been before. And if you do have the time, please understand that you are all powerful individuals, and just taking the time to visualize that future, you are having a part in creating it, because we are manifesting geniuses, each and every one of us. They just don't want us to know that.
Hey, thank you guys so much for being here. Nikita, any final notes before we go? Okay. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate all of you who've watched and listened with an open mind, as hard as it may have been, or as exciting as it may have been. We really appreciate your participation, and all of the information about us and about any of the resources we've mentioned will be listed below in the description of this video. Please feel free to share this with as many people as you possibly can, and help us get the word out about how we can be empowered at this chaotic time.
Absolutely. And thank you, Amy, for doing this. Thank you for following through on your intuition. And thank you for being a divine source of love here on this earth. We really appreciate you, Amy. And it's been
Thank you both.
And it was wonderful to meet you, Nikita. And Crystal. Your energy was extraordinary. And we really, really appreciate, even though you didn't get to say much, what you did say was so powerful and so needed and so necessary. And you really added so much to this. So again, I'm just in appreciation to be here and for us to be able to do this today. So thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Love you, love you, love you.